I'm a teacher from Fairfax County Public Schools. I'm going to give
a medical exemption.
I'm sorry?
Do you have a medical exemption for
I do.
mask? Okay. You've been cleared by staff. Can someone?
Yes, I have. Can I have my full minute, please?
You may.
Thank you.
I'm waiting for staff to give me a thumbs up that the medical exemption was granted.
You know, it's actually embarrassing that you have to ask me that question in front of hundreds of people here. That's discrimination against HIPAA. It is. I can't ask you if you're gay. I can't ask you if you have herpes. You can't ask me about my medical exemption. I can't ask you if you're pregnant. You can't ask me that question.
Would you like your minute now?
I would love my minute, yes. Thank you. I'm a Fairfax County public school teacher, and I'm going to give a message of encouragement to parents and teachers and students who are too afraid to come and speak forward. Parents, the longer that you wait and you don't hold your child's schools accountable gives these guys more time to dictate what's best for your child's physical, mental, and emotional health. Don't be afraid to speak out for your kids because they are voiceless and they rely on you. You should be afraid of them rooting for socialism by the time they get to middle school. Teachers, it may seem that our careers have come to a dead end, but I'm here to remind you we don't work for the school board. We work to mold the next generation of well-rounded American patriots. So don't give up because it is up to us. Students, you are on the front lines of these indoctrination camps. Challenge the staff when you're presented with a ludicrous statement, and do not allow anybody to tell you that you cannot accomplish anything because of your skin color or to hate yourself because of your skin color. Students, it is up to you to be the next generation of victims or victors. And finally, to the board, this isn't over, and your policies are just as making us wear masks.
Nick Gothard, followed by Ryan.
Oh my God, teacher of the century right there. Absolutely incredible. This is the kind of fearlessness that they are so afraid of. As long as there's people like this. And we're going to show you guys who this is. This is Lilith Venezian, this Fairfax County teacher. All the praise. She deserves, a promotion. She deserves a raise. This is what we want to see. These are the kinds of people who we want to see teaching our kids. Let's see what she had to say for herself on Fox News after the scaredy cats, all wearing masks, running the school board, tried to silence her.
Well, let's bring in Lilith Venezian. As Mike reported, she was one of the teachers who was at that school board meeting yesterday. It's great to have you this morning. So tell me what's going on behind the scenes, like when the teachers are talking to each other. What are they saying?
Thank you very much for having me, first of all. There's mixed emotion. I believe that most teachers do want the best for their students and for the families of these students. But at the same time, there seems to be a divide. One side is okay with the narrative that we are pushing, using to indoctrinate our children. The other side isn't. The side that I am on, unfortunately, is very afraid to come forward. They're very afraid to lose their jobs. They're afraid of the backlash. And as you know, Loudoun County is notoriously known to go after those that do not agree with them.
So why did you decide to speak out?
Because these children are the future of this country, and if you love this country, you will do anything and everything to stand up for the vulnerable population, and that is our children. They cannot stand up for themselves. They cannot speak for themselves. They fear retaliation. It's up to us adults, parents, and teachers alike to come together and speak up for them for the sake of this country.
It seems to me like there's a real grassroots movement, and those can often be very effective. How do you see the debate going right now, and where do you think it will be headed by the time we get to back to school in September?
That's a great question. I think if we continue this path that we are on, if we continue showing up and holding our school boards accountable, holding the schools accountable, holding the elected officials accountable, then we can start to see some pushback. It's important for us to form an alliance with local parents, teachers, and students so that we can have an army of like-minded individuals who simply want the best. So it doesn't stop here. This is just the beginning, but we are excited to be part of this, and we have to keep moving forward for the sake of our children, for the sake of the better good of this country.
For the people who are on the other side of where you are, who say that this is just a chance to get people a different point of view, and we're trying to open people's minds. How do you respond to that criticism? Because I think that they might seem a little surprised by the pushback.
It seems to be very one-sided. They talk about the anti-bullying initiative and love is welcome here, and it seems to me that they always talk about equity and inclusion, but it's only including those that have a specific mindset. So we're not including conservative students, we're not including conservative teachers and parents, but we're only inclusive with those that are divisive, those that don't want the best for their children, those that don't want the best for the school board and the best for the future of this country. So they might be screeching from the rooftops that they're all about inclusivity, but they're really not, and that's very, very obvious in these school board meetings.
Have you ever seen anything like the response from parents in your teaching career so far as to this issue on critical race theory?
Honestly, prior to the last 16 months of chaos, nobody knew who was on their school board. Nobody knew who was on the Board of Supervisors. Nobody really understood the impact that our local politics have directly into our lives. Now, parents realize that our local elected officials have more power than any other politician, and if we are not getting involved in the local level, then there's really no hope for the future. We have to start grassroots locally. So we are seeing parents in this county, in this state of Virginia, and across the country forming an alliance, standing up for their kids, and it is amazing to see.
Absolutely right. You know, that was one of the good things that came out of that ultra woke COVID era, is that parents started to become aware of what was going on, especially in public schools. And Fairfax County, Loudoun County were kind of the hotbeds of this whole debate, because they had these rager school board meetings where parents would come prepared with all the facts, all of the depraved things their kids were learning, critical race theory, being forced to do all this crazy stuff related to COVID. They finally realized that their kids were being taught to hate America and accept authoritarianism. And I don't want to hear all of the half-baked criticisms of the Trump administration as this fascist authoritarian regime. These people love authoritarianism. Under the Biden administration, they influenced social media platforms to stop people from asking questions about COVID. They shut down debate about certain topics. You couldn't ask certain questions. You couldn't talk about the Hunter Biden laptop. They demonized parents. They demonized Catholics and other Christians, religious people. I don't want to hear a single word of these crocodile tears from these leftists. They want authoritarianism in their paradigm. So they're complete hypocrites, and we already know that. But this teacher, what she said rings so true today as we're dealing with the rise of socialism in America, specifically among young people. This did not happen overnight. It's not like somebody flipped a switch and everybody became socialist all of a sudden. This was a slow bake of our education system, influencing American students to hate America, to view our history in this negative light that's cherry-picked, to not show the good parts, the parts that we can be proud of, that we should be proud of, but to only highlight the negative aspects, the racist aspects, the oppression of women and other minorities and LGBT. It has all been exposed, but it didn't necessarily have to be exposed. It took brave people like her who are willing to stand up and call it out for what it is. And I hope that you are one of those people too. I try to be. I know when I was in college, it was riddled with wokeism, with far left and anti-Trump sentiment. It worked its way into every course. And every opportunity I had as a student, I would try to raise my hand and debate and challenge my professors, challenge other students. Sometimes I would cause a uproar in the class. People yelling at me, saying that I'm racist and I'm sexist and all this. When really I'm just a center-right conservative. It was shut down. It was penalized. But I think that we need to feed off of that bravery. We need to look to examples like this teacher, like Charlie Kirk, and see that other people are starting to pave the way for the resistance against this far leftism, this authoritarian leftism that's becoming a reality more and more every single day. And just know that you're not alone. If you want to go to your kid's school board meeting and ask questions and challenge what they're teaching, I bet you if you show up, there's going to be a dozen other parents, maybe who are too afraid to speak out themselves, but you could be an example for them and speak out and say, I don't want my kids reading about pornography when they're 8 years old. This should not be in the school library, or this should not be in the school curriculum. Or why did my kid get a lower grade on his paper when he followed all of the instructions? He worked hard on it. It was a good paper, but he presented a conservative point of view. That happened to me throughout high school and college. This stuff is still happening. And unfortunately, this teacher, I think, in my opinion, is an exception, because a lot of teachers get into that profession to be social activists. I'm not trying to criticize or attack teachers, but it's just a fact that so many people are drawn to, especially younger pre-college education, to try to influence and have an impact on the minds and the views, the worldview of young Americans. So we need to be vigilant to that and recognize it for what it is. But as this pertains to the COVID era and how detrimental their policies were at that time for young kids, they didn't want to acknowledge that what they were doing was completely destructive to young people and their development. Now we're going to see this week, on Wednesday, tomorrow, Dr. Fauci, everything's out on the table. He's going to have to answer in front of the American people for every lie he told, what he tried to cover up, and why he did that. And I hope that we're finally going to have that reconciliation where people who lied to the American people, who took advantage of their positions of power, are going to be held accountable for it. And hopefully serve as an example for people not to do it in the future. Because at some point, there's going to be another Democrat administration. There's going to be a Gavin Newsom administration or an AOC administration, God forbid. And these people are going to want to seize power and with a heavy hand crack down on conservatives once again. But we need to make an example of the people who did so in the past so they know that there's repercussions to this and that they can't get away with it. Finding this clip today, honestly, it made my day. Hopefully it made your day too. And this is one of the things we're trying to do here at Politibrawl, is not only bring you the news and the most heated and important debates that are happening in Congress and in the media, but also resurfacing older clips like this. This is 5 years old, but this is so important, not only because it rings true. This is a message that we need to be paying attention to right here and now. But this only got like 60,000 views on YouTube back when it was posted. 72,000 views 5 years ago, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things on YouTube. This needs to get millions of views. So whether it's our posting and commenting on it that gets millions of views, hopefully, I'd be happy with that. Or otherwise, just share this clip. Find this clip. Fight for Schools is the organization. They only have 2,000 subscribers. Give them a subscribe. Well, they haven't posted in a few years, but at least at one point they were doing tremendous work. And a lot of this stuff did not get the attention that it deserved. People standing up for their kids, standing up for themselves, their communities. This is the kind of example that we want to project to our audience and show you guys and make sure that we're resurfacing these things that are still important and that can hopefully inspire conservatives to continue the fight, because it's not over. Just because Trump's president, we have to get ready for the midterms and the possibility that they might not go our way. We have to get ready for 2028, and we have to be able to hold the line through the fights that are coming down the road. And I hope that this can do its small part in inspiring that bravery that conservatives, Christians, American patriots need to have to protect and retain our country, conserve our country. Anyway, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are about this in the comments. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.